and welcome to another teacher talk session tonight. And tonight, as you know, that we are having another educator from different part of the world, and tonight we have a business English coach, Jill Cannon Jones. When she comes, we are going to start our live session with her. Yes, waiting for her to join. Waiting for Jill. Yes. Okay. Now send me a request, Jill, right? Okay, wait a minute, Jill. I'm gonna send you invitation. Now accept my invitation, please. There we go.
Okay, I can see you this time.
Great.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I can see you also. Yeah,
Technology.
it's technology. Yeah, you can say that. It's something about technology, but that's fine, not a problem. Okay,
Oh,
Jill,
sorry.
it's
Sorry,
okay. It's
everyone.
great to see you here. And before starting our live sessions, and I would like to say thank you very much for accepting my invitation and being our guest tonight for 219th session of Teacher Talks. It's really great honor to have you
Thank you for
tonight here.
inviting me. Yeah.
It's wonderful. And I know that we are educators and we are very busy, so I know you are also very busy. So if you want, if you're ready, actually, we can start, can we?
But of course, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I know about a little bit, but maybe our audience would like to know about you. So can you tell us about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences too?
Of course, sure. So, I'm probably you've already said, but my name's Jill Cannon Jones. I live in the northwest of England. And these days I help business professionals with their presentation skills at work. But I started my English teaching career in Japan in the 1990s.
Wow,
And then, so I worked there for 3 years, and then I worked, as you know, in business for a number of years, and then came back to teaching in 2018 when I did my CELTA, and then I've been teaching online. I'm
wow.
self-employed online
Mm-hmm.
since 2019.
Okay, and great. Thank you very much, Jill. Okay, Jill, my next question is, what was over your turning point or points in your own education?
Well, I've already given you a little hint to this. So it was the chance when I was 17 to learn some Japanese. So when I was in high school, my school offered us some subjects outside of the normal exam subjects,
Uh-huh.
and I chose Japanese. I fell in love with it, and that meant that I went on to do a degree in Japanese. And I thought, I really want to go and live in Japan for a few years. How can I do
Wow,
that? And in those days, a relatively easy way to do that, to get a visa, was to teach English. So it's something I hadn't considered before, but I thought, great, I'll do that. And I loved it. And yeah, it sort of all began from there.
from there, from Japanese, learning Japanese from here. It's great.
Exactly,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you very
that
much.
led me to teaching English. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So you've been teaching for a long time, Jill, and probably in this period you have tried different methodologies, of course, different techniques and strategies in your lessons, and probably you have a philosophy of teaching. So what is it? What is your philosophy of teaching?
It's a really, I think it's a question that all of us teachers kind of revisit again and again, don't we? But for me, I think the really important thing is to make everything as relevant as possible.
Uh-huh.
So trying to really understand what each student's goals and needs are, and to give them material and input that's as relevant to their situation as possible. So in my situation, if I'm working with business English students, then I'm getting them to talk about their job and the problems that they have in their job, and recreate situations that they face on a daily basis.
Mhm. I see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. All right. So what I'm gonna ask you again, as an educators, we have lots of stories in our life. Sometimes we have bad stories, of course. Sometimes we have good stories. Sometimes, of course, we have failed ones, and we have success stories too. So, can you tell us one or maybe two success stories of yours? But actually, we would like to hear something inspirational if you have.
Well, I hesitate to put myself forward as an inspiration, but the first story that I thought of is something that's happened in my life recently. So, 25 years after finishing my first degree, I completed my master's degree this
Uh-huh.
year. And I'm a really strong believer in lifelong learning, and I think it's a really important message to get across. I've had students learning English into their 80s. I don't think that I think you're never too old to learn a language or to learn anything new. So I hope that by continuing to learn myself as well, that I can
Yeah,
inspire other people to do so as well.
I see. All right. That's just your story about it. Okay, thank you very much. And you've been living. Actually, you are British or English, if I'm not wrong, British. And
I'm British. Yep, that's right. Yep.
yeah, you're British. And you know that I have talked lots of people, lots of educators from different countries so far,
Mm.
and they all have different ideas about their education system. Sometimes they accept it, sometimes they say, "Oh, we still have lots of problems," and sometimes they have a lot of ideas to change about something. But of course, probably in England you have a good education system, but I'm sure that there are also some, the not the bad parts, but some problematic areas over there. If you had the chance, as an experienced one, to change one thing in English education system, so what would you change and why?
It's a little bit of a difficult question because I don't work in the standard education system, so I don't know what the current system is. But my experience generally of probably our education system, but certainly exams that Britain is sending out into the world, like the IELTS exam or the Cambridge exam, um, I don't know how relevant some parts of those exams are to everyday life. So, for example, in the IELTS, when you have to write an essay, that's relevant if you're going on to study at university, but it's not relevant to write about an opinion essay if you're going to work in another country. So I think generally would like to see more options within the exam. Maybe the students can choose tasks that
Uh,
are more relevant to how they're really going to be using the English. So I think exams all over the world probably could be improved.
I see. Thank you. But actually, I can't say I can't agree to you because it's totally you're right. Because if you're not gonna, to go to England or other countries to study, you don't need to give kind of an IELTS, a written exam. Maybe they can find another solutions to do it. You're right. And thank you for your ideas about it. You know that, and a lot of teachers uh, they always actually want to be successful in their career or in their classrooms with their kids.
Mm.
And sometimes they need to think about it, or sometimes after the lessons they think that was I successful or did I do the correct things in the classrooms? But it depends on the teacher to teacher, this idea. So
Mm.
for you, what do you think makes a teacher successful in the classroom?
So you mean how would I define success in this
You
situation?
can, of
How?
course, you can say that also.
Um, so I think if your students leave keen, excited to learn more, then you've been successful, and that's true of whether you're teaching kids or adults or business people or whatever. I think the most important thing, because we can't give them everything they need, they have to go and study by themselves. They have to find ways of improving their English or by themselves. So I think if we can inspire them to do that, I think that then that is a great definition of success.
That success in the classroom. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jill. All right. The lots of teachers, I think, even I, before starting our career as a teacher, I always have a kind of a dream classroom in my mind. Well, just like other teachers, like, oh, my classroom is going to be like this, and my classroom is going to be like that. I will have this, I will have that. This kind of things happen in our minds. But after starting that, the teaching job, something not, that happens as we thought. But when you think about this, if you could design, a dream classroom with unlimited resources, what would it look like for you?
So I'm going to take dream really literally here. So I think this is a dream, unless I did think maybe this probably is going to be possible in a few years with VR, maybe. But my dream classroom would have lots of different real situations within it that the students can go and visit, but with my support and my feedback. So there'd be I don't know, if they need to make a presentation, they can do it in front of their boss and all their colleagues, and they can get questions from their boss and their colleagues, but it's not real. There's no consequences, and I'm there to give support and feedback,
I
but
see.
just to make it as real as possible. But I think that could be possible with virtual reality in the future, don't you think? So maybe that's that's a,
Why not? Why
that's
not?
something, that's a way to go.
That's VR. The VR thing is really, awesome. Yeah, you're right. Why not? It can happen. Actually, in some parts, in some countries, they have already used that kind of VR things in the
Mm.
educations, as you know. So, but it can be fantastic if this happens in every classroom in every part of the world. Okay, thank you very much. Jill, that let's move a little bit about the educators and the teacher sides. There is a term, the well-being, which is really important for all of
Mm.
us, especially for teachers, because we need it. We have to have a good well-being in our classrooms and in
Yeah.
our schools, in our daily routines, because the sometimes the people thinks that, oh, you're a teacher, your job is easy to just teach the kids. They can think that.
Mm.
But actually, on the back of this situation, there are lots of things happening. It's
Mm.
psychologically, and I don't know, another part of things that's happening every time. So, but we need a good well-being to do this job. That's my idea.
Mhm.
But to do this, what's one, the small daily habit you think helps educator to protect their own well-being, which is important for all of us?
I think it probably is different from person to person, but you're absolutely right. We all need to have a moment in the day where we can switch off and maybe let our mind wander a little, because that's often when you have your best ideas or you find solutions to problems. And for me, that's getting outside and walking in nature, something that I try to do every day. But that's not possible for everybody, or maybe isn't what everybody wants to do. But I think we all need to find just a little break in our day where we can just where we're not doing anything really, and we can let our minds wander. Um, and yeah, like take a mental break.
I see. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's move to another question which is related to you. I know that you have I think a website, Say It Like a Leader, if I'm
Hmm.
not wrong. So, can you tell us a little bit about this website? What is it for, and how did you start it, and what kind of things can people do, or what kind of things do you support with the help of this website?
So I've been working with business professionals since 2019, specifically teaching English in this area, and I realized that one thing that terrified most of them was giving presentations. They felt very exposed in front of their colleagues. I think most people dislike giving presentations in their own language, let alone in a second language. And it was common theme that I was hearing from my students, that this is the thing that I really hate doing in English, or I'm really scared of doing. And I thought, with my business background, my teaching background, and my public speaking background, I was in a good position to help them. So I set up the Say It Like a Leader business and website in order to be able to deliver courses to help people overcome this big hurdle, and often that they
Uh-huh.
find it's holding them back in their careers.
I see. I see. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So, would you like to add anything else about it, or can I move another question?
Uh, Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a kind of a transition from business world to English teaching kind of it. What inspired then change, and how was your corporate background to influence your teaching style?
So, as I've mentioned, I actually started my career in teaching and then went into the corporate world and then
Yeah.
came back to teaching again. Um, I've always, I think I was born to be a teacher. When I was young, I volunteered. I volunteered as a swimming coach and as a maths tutor. And even when I was working in the corporate world, I kind of gravitated towards training roles. So it's always been part of my life. And I realized, working in the corporate world, initially I left the corporate world because I wanted to move to out of the city and I wanted to work for myself. And then I suddenly realized, with the boom of online teaching, that even living in a rural area, I could reach students all over the world. So that's what brought me back to teaching. And I think my corporate experience is very useful because I can empathize with the students. I've been
Mm,
in those situations. I had Japanese clients, so I was giving presentations and negotiating in my second language. So I've been in that situation. I know what it feels like, and
mhm.
I think that helps with the teaching.
The teaching one, I see. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jill. You know, what I'm gonna ask you that you have lots of experience about it. Giving a presentation or having a presentation with in front of lots of people, especially with another language, which is really hard for some of
Mm.
people. That makes the person very sometimes very nervous, or sometimes, when you before actually starting your speech, everything looks maybe relaxed to you, but when you go in front of the lots of people and start your speaking, I mean, in your language, maybe this case can be a little bit easier, but with a different language to do this, which is really not easy, because you need to, to choose your words very carefully, because they can
Hmm.
understand about the language that they use it. What I'm gonna ask you that, as an experienced one, what advice, that would you give to non-native speakers to who feels very nervous presenting in English? I'm not gonna ask you give us 100 solutions or suggestions. Maybe two or
My
three
top tip, yeah.
secrets, two or three secrets to us can be great.
I think the first thing to remember is everyone is nervous before they give an important presentation. Even if you've given hundreds of presentations, if it's really important, you feel nervous. That's perfectly normal and it's perfectly okay. A key thing to remember is, when you're nervous, you tend to speak quicker. And it's really important to try and slow down when you're giving a presentation, especially as a non-native speaker. It gives you more time to formulate the English in your mind. Otherwise, you get this feeling that your brain is ahead of your mouth all the time. Um, it also gives your listeners time to process what you're saying and thinking. Often, for a lot of my students, a lot of the listeners are non-native speakers as well, so it gives them more time. But even native speaker listeners, they might want to think about your ideas as you're speaking. So slow down. Fast speech also makes you sound less confident.
Uh-huh.
Really confident presenters speak surprisingly slowly. So, yeah, speak slower than you think is possible, and probably it'll sound normal to everybody else in the room. So that's my top tip, I think.
I see. Okay, thank you very much for your tip about it. Okay, so and I'm gonna ask you that you emphasize here or you mention here to helping the learners to to use English in real context. We just talked about it, I think, if I'm not wrong. And how can teachers, to bring more authenticity and real life communication in the classroom?
Again, I think it's about relevance, isn't it? So we want to be getting the students to use language that is useful for them in their everyday life, and that's going to be different for every student and for every
Yeah.
group of students. But it's something that I try to do in my lesson. So always bringing it back to what do you need this language for? So if we learn some new vocabulary, how imagine a sentence that you could use this piece of vocabulary to your boss tomorrow or to your colleague tomorrow, or what situation at work could you use that? So always trying to bring it back to the real situations that they're going to be using the language in, I
Hmm.
think it is really important.
Important. I see. I see. You just mentioned a very nice, I think, thing there. Like they go to learn the language, but what purpose?
Mm,
That's the case. For that I have lots of people around of me, and they go a kind of a courses to get the language, to learn the language. But when I ask them why do you do this, and they say I don't know, I just want to learn it. So
mm.
without any purpose, they learn this. Actually, if you don't have any purpose, you learn, but I think you cannot get what you want to from the language. I think if I'm not
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the clearer your goal is, the easier it is to know what you need to do to get there. If you don't have a goal, and we know that learning a language is a lifelong
Exactly.
journey. Um, so if you have a clear goal, then you can focus your efforts more effectively, I think.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much. And you know, I want to think about the classroom. Like when you imagine the classrooms, we have lots of students in the classrooms, and
Mm,
are the really one of the problematics area in the classroom with the language is speaking part, which is really
hmm
hard because the students, they have lots of hesitations in their mind, and they want to speak but they can't. They want to say
mm,
something again but they can't because of lots of the not distractions around the classrooms they can think of in their minds. So when you think about this kind of things, I mentioned that many learners struggle with the confidence. Okay, they're not confident
mm.
enough when they're speaking. So in English, of course. What are your favorite ways, let's say, to help these kind of students overcome that fear and express themselves clearly in English?
Of course, we work in from what I understand, very different situations. So I'm usually working one on one. So, but I have worked in classroom settings as well,
Yeah.
and I think the important thing for everybody to remember is that confidence is a skill. It's not something that you're born with, because all of us are confident in some parts of our lives and not confident in other parts. So it's a skill that we can learn, and therefore we have to practice.
Uh-huh.
So it's a bit like this kind of exposure therapy for when you're scared of something. It's doing it again and again and again. So when I've worked in a classroom setting, I start. We're speaking from the minute we start the first class, and then eventually it just becomes a normal part of the class, and
Uh-huh.
people become less nervous about it. But also for my one-on-one students, they say, "Oh well, I feel okay talking to you, but I'm frightened to talk to somebody at work." So I have set them homework. I had a student who had one native speaker in the office. She was terrified of speaking to her, so I said, "Right, okay, your homework is you have to go and have lunch with her." And it took her two
Nice.
weeks to pluck up the courage, but she did, and then yeah, it was fine from then. She was much more relaxed with her in meetings, and it really helped her. So I think sometimes you just have to, yeah, take that first jump, don't you? And then it does get
I see.
easier.
I see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. You know, and we have a term AI, artificial intelligence. You know that.
Hmm.
And it's everywhere. It's everywhere right now,
Hmm.
in
It
every
is.
part of the world. And whenever you look, you can see something related to AI right now. In
Hmm.
every job, at school, at home, at work, outside, on the billboards, everywhere you can see it when you go outside, something related with AI. But let's move to the about something education I want to focus on. So you are an educator too, and you have lots of things to do, but this AI, of course, makes our job maybe a little bit easier. But if AI could take over one boring task in education, or maybe the things you do to free teachers' time or your time, which task would you give it?
Yeah, I think for me, it wouldn't be the education part of it. That's a part of my job I love, but I'm also running my own business. So if it could do my accounts for me so that I never have to look at them ever again, that would be fantastic. So yeah, I think it would be more, for me, it would be the admin of running a business rather than the teaching part. I'd like to save my time for that.
I see that one. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying it. Okay, so we as it, let's say the educators or the teachers, we always want to be motivated in our
Mm.
job, or
Hmm.
we look some motivational things to do it, because sometimes it's really hard, and sometimes we can easily get bored and say, oh, I'm not gonna do this job again anymore, I leave it, I quit it, we say. But and the next day we find something really motivate us to do it.
Mm.
For you, what motivates you to do your job?
I love problem solving. So
Uh-huh.
when a student has a particular problem, maybe it's with the language or with some confidence issue or whatever it could be, I love researching different ways that I could help them solve that problem and making sure that in the 1 hour a week that I have with them, that I'm making the best use of that time and giving them something that will help solve that problem. So yeah, I like
Mhm.
doing research, and I like finding new, interesting solutions to students' problems.
The student problem that motivates you. I see. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you very much. You know, before starting your career, actually, let me think about myself. And before being a teacher, I had something different jobs to do in my mind. All right. But after that, I decided to be a teacher, and now I'm a teacher. I'm really happy to do it. But maybe for you it was the same before doing this job, or maybe you had different ideas in your mind. If you weren't working in education, what completely different job would you try just for fun, maybe?
Well, I have had quite a few different jobs in my career.
Yeah.
I've done various things, but yeah, I love being outside, and I like being with animals. So maybe something connected to that. Ideally in another country, so I could learn a new language at the same time. That would be a good job for me, I think.
I see. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I just mentioned something about AI, it's about something technology, because it's not easy to follow it, because
Mm.
lots of things happening, every second in the world.
Hmm.
For example, now we are talking and we're discussing some things, but lots of things happening in education world.
Hmm.
So it's not easy for us to do it. But for you, how do you follow these technological improvements in education world? What suggestions can you give us?
It is difficult, isn't it? Things are
Yeah,
changing so quickly.
totally,
Um,
exactly.
and I'm self-employed, so I don't have a staff room to go to at the end of the day and talk to other teachers. So I have to find kind of virtual staff rooms. So for me, LinkedIn is a really important place for that. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I follow lots of different people's accounts who are interested in technology and education, and looking at the ways that they're using technology and thinking how I could adapt that to my own situation, and
Uh-huh.
then generally networking with other teachers and seeing what other people are doing and how that could be useful for me.
You see, you follow like that. I see. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In our life, we all have, actually not all have, but most of the people, they have role models. When we see
Hmm.
some good models, we always want to take it for ourselves, or we always want to follow the path of good things. Okay? When they do it. And also some people, the successful people especially, and they inspire us in our life, and they affect
Mm.
in our life in different parts. So when you think about yourself, do you have a role models? If yes, who? And do you have any people who inspire you about the things you do in your life or in your career?
I think definitely related to teaching, I think back to some of my favorite teachers when I was at school. I had a history teacher who was incredibly good at getting everybody involved in the class. I think she started teaching us when we were about 14, and she was really the first teacher to allow us to express our own opinions in the class. But that got everybody involved and much more motivated and interested in the topic. So I think she taught me that, again, making it relevant to us, getting us engaged was the best way to involve us in the class. And it's a bit of a cliche, but a lot of my students inspire me. They've got busy corporate jobs, they've got families, and they still find time to study English and to enjoy studying English. And yeah, it's really great to see their progress and their sense of achievement when they feel that they're improving.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. All right. And we have read lots of the books, and we watch movies, and we watch some shows in our life. And of course, they have influenced our life, or they are the job that we do. For example, maybe you read a sentence in the book, maybe you watch a movie scene, or maybe you go to kind of a theater and you saw a kind of a scene over there, and you rethink or reimagine something in your life, or you want to adopt it in your, the job you do. When you think about it, do you have any books, movies, or shows that unexpectedly influence the way you teach, research, or the things you do?
I think you're right. As language teachers, everything that we see and hear makes you
Yeah.
think. I often am watching a movie and suddenly I'm thinking, oh, that's an interesting language point, and yeah, you're pulled out of the movie. So it's there in our heads all of the time, I think. It's not maybe unexpected, but I'm recently rereading this book.
Ah,
It's called How We
oh,
Learn,
fun.
by a cognitive neuroscientist. So he's talking about how the brain works, and it's very interesting from the point of education and how can we present material to our students that will best help them remember it for the future.
I see.
So I read it a couple of years ago and really enjoyed it, and I've just started rereading it.
How we
But yeah,
learn it.
it's
hmm
mm,
It's okay. But who is the writer? Can we learn it?
uh, Stanislas Dehaene, I think. I'm not
Ah,
totally
I see.
confident how you
And the
pronounce that, but
company? It's okay. The company
it's Penguin.
Penguin. Penguin.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill, to
But yeah,
learn.
really interesting for teachers, I think.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Uh, in our life again, sometimes we have challenging situations, or let's say difficult times. So
Mm,
we have kind of a problem, or we face something really, distracting us, and we want to solve it and we can't. We want to do something but we can't. And when we come to that point, sometimes we say, "Oh, I wish I could have a kind of a superpower so I can easily solve it or manage to do it." All right. When you think about this, especially I'm gonna ask you for the classroom, but
Mm.
you can uh, adapt it in your job to do. If you could have one superpower to use it in the classroom or your job, what would it be and how would it help you? I mean, I'm not talking about having a Thor's hammer and give a kind of, the pad to something like that to students, or being the Hulk in the classroom and smash when they got bored.
No, that's not my teaching style. Um, well, again, I've taken this as not a real situation, but a real superpower. I've always, unrelated to teaching, I have always wanted to be able to teleport, to just be in one place and then suddenly pop up in another place without having to do the boring journey in between. But I also think for teaching that could be a really useful superpower. I love teaching online because it's extremely flexible, but it's much nicer to be face to face. So if I could just teleport to Spain for one lesson and then Turkey for the next and then Russia for the next or wherever, that would be wonderful. And I also think then maybe I could take the student with me and we could go into some different situations and that we could test out their English in those situations. So if we're practicing giving a presentation, then we can go into a big conference hall and practice getting your voice to the back of the room, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's what I'd like to be able to do. Just
I see.
jump
Thank you.
around in space and time.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And Jill, and there are some comments there, and they would like to see the book you have just shared.
Okay,
Is it okay to share it again?
of course.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the book, How
Is
We
it backwards
Learn
for you or can
from,
you see it? Okay.
they can see it,
Okay.
Stanislas
The
and
Hern.
the Hern. That's the name of the writer from Penguin, and How We Learn. All right. I think you got the point. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All
I can
right.
write it in
Thank
the
you.
comments when we finish if that helps as
Yeah,
well.
sure, sure. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so yes, Jill, think that, all right, we finish our interview and you step outside your home and find the lottery tickets that ends up winning $100 million. What would you do? But please be honest. I know it's a huge amount of money. It's $100 million. So what would
Yeah,
you
it's too much to even think about. I mean, the boring answer is I would hand it into the police station because
say?
that's legally what you have to do in the UK. So I wouldn't get the money anyway, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, buy a nice house, make sure my friends and family were all okay, and then I
Good.
think I couldn't possibly spend that amount of money in my lifetime. So I would need to set up some kind of charity. And it would be nice if I could combine that with teaching. So getting English lessons out to people who maybe can't afford it or people around the world, that would be a really nice thing to do.
With the money, I see. Thank you.
But
Thank you for
I'd
sharing.
need some help with that.
I can help you with to spend the money. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. All right, the time flies, Jill, and now I'm gonna ask you my last question, and which is the most difficult one. Ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is your motto?
It is difficult, although I think the $100 million is more difficult. But I don't have a life motto, but I do genuinely each year try and choose a word that I'm going to focus on for that year. And my word for 2025 is consistency. Um, uh, that for me, that's related to all parts of my life, my work, posting on LinkedIn, doing exercise. But I also think it's a really important concept for learning a language. Little and often is the key, isn't it? It's no good if you study for 10 hours one week and then do nothing for 4 weeks after that. So I think it's a, a good word to remember for all of us.
A good word to work, all of us. Okay, that's the motto you have, I think. I see. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. All right. I ask all my questions to you, Jill. And before ending our live session, would you like to add anything else, or do you have any suggestions or advice to our audiences or to the people who will listen to you later?
I mean, I'd love people to come and follow me on LinkedIn if they'd like to find me there. And yeah, I hope that everybody's enjoying their teaching at the moment, getting ready for the end of the year. Maybe things are changing for everybody at the end of the year. And yeah, thinking about the future and where AI is going to take us.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jill. Before ending it again, I would like to say thank you very much for your suggestions, for your advice, and especially you have spent your time, the precious time with us. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Not a
All right.
problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Jill, yeah, you're welcome. And Jill Cannon Jones was with us with Teacher Talks, as you know that, the 219 sessions. We had a fruitful session with her. And as you know that, we are going to be here the next week at the same time on the same day. Sorry, at the same time, yeah, on the same day, every Monday at 9 p.m. for Turkey's time. And until the next time, please, wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good night. And please, please take care of yourself. Take care of yourself, Jill, and and peace.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.